The lights in the Galactic Peace Station's medical bay were dim. It was midnight cycle, and most of the station was asleep. But not Nurse Leora. She was on night shift, monitoring the recovery pods like she always did. Leora was an alien from the planet Virelia. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowed faint green, and she moved with calm grace. Virelians were known for their advanced medical knowledge and peaceful nature. Leora was proud to serve on a human-led station, helping species from across the galaxy. Tonight felt different. The air was warm, too warm. She stood near Pod 12, checking vitals of her latest patient, a human soldier brought in after a strange battlefield incident. His name was Corporal Jackson Reed. Tall, muscular, and covered in strange bruises, he had been unconscious since arrival. The med scans didn't show any injury to explain his condition. It was like his body had shut down, or was resisting something. Leora sighed and looked at the readings again. Heart rate stable. Brainwaves low but normal. But suddenly, beep, 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 beep. His heart rate jumped. She leaned closer to the pod window. Jackson's body moved slightly, his head turned, and a soft groan escaped his lips. Not a painful groan. Something else. His face tensed. Sweat appeared on his forehead. And then, the lower part of his body began to glow. Leora froze. A red, pulsing light was spreading from his abdomen down toward his legs. It looked like heat. Energy, but the scanner wasn't picking it up. Confused, she activated her handheld med scanner and aimed it at the glowing area. The device blinked red. Error. Classified material detected. What? She whispered, shocked. Why would a body part be classified? She tried again, this time using a deeper scan. The same result. The readings were encrypted under Terran Military Level 7 security, the highest level of human defense clearance. Leora had seen battle wounds, alien parasites, even psychic feedback burns. But this was different. There was no injury, no infection, just heat, energy, and something else she couldn't name. The glow pulsed faster. Jackson's breathing became heavier, his body tensed more. Leora's heart pounded. She had to act. She had to report this. But something made her hesitate. If the military was hiding this condition, they might not want others to know. She stepped back and looked at the screen again. His vitals were rising. His muscles were twitching. His skin flushed red. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open. Bright blue. He gasped, looked around in confusion, then locked eyes with her. For a moment, neither of them moved. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice hoarse but strong. "I am Nurse Leora," she said calmly, trying to hide her fear. "You are safe. You're on the Galactic Peace Station. You were injured." He blinked slowly. "Injured? No. The serum. I remember the test. It wasn't ready." "What serum?" she asked. But Jackson's eyes rolled back, and he fell unconscious again. The glow faded. Leora backed away from the pod, her mind racing. Serum? What had the humans done to him? Why was a medical condition protected by military encryption? She moved to the console to make a report, but stopped. If she reported this through normal channels, it would go straight to the Terran military files. She wouldn't learn anything. They would take him away, and she would never know the truth. Leora took a deep breath. Instead of reporting, she made a private data copy of the scan logs. She encrypted it with her own Virelian code hidden under a false patient ID. She needed more answers. Suddenly, the room's lights flickered. A low, mechanical hum filled the air. Leora turned toward the door. A figure was standing there, watching her silently. It was Commander Rel, the head of human security on the station. His eyes narrowed. "You're not authorized to run deep scans on military personnel," he said coldly. Leora stood straight. His condition was unstable. "I had no choice." Rel stepped closer. "Stay in your lane, nurse. That man is under classified medical protection." You're to treat his wounds and nothing more." Then he turned and walked away. Leora's heart sank. She knew she was in danger now. But more than that, something was very wrong. The serum, the heat, the encryption. She looked at Jackson one last time. He twitched again in his sleep, whispering her name. She hadn't told him her name. Her fingers clenched into a fist. She needed answers. Not just for her patient, but for the truth that the Terran military was trying to hide. And deep inside, she felt something strange building in her own body. Warmth. Like a spark. Something had already started. Leora didn't sleep the next day. After her night shift ended, she should have gone back to her quarters, but her mind kept spinning about the red glow, the encrypted scan, and the name Jackson had whispered. Her name. He shouldn't have known it. No records of her were available to human patients, and yet somehow, he knew. She returned to the medical bay during the day shift, pretending she had forgotten her scanner. But she wasn't here for tools. She was here to break into the Terran military files. Not through normal access, no. She had a plan. As a Varelian medic, she had privileges to use the cross-species genetic database, a program that helped doctors understand alien DNA combinations. But the real trick was hidden beneath that system. Few knew that certain diplomatic stations like this one still carried legacy, Earth medical logs in deep storage, offline, unguarded, and forgotten by most. She slipped into the diagnostics room and locked the door. Then carefully she bypassed the main interface and linked her scanner to the old server bank. Connection established. She typed in the name. Project Valor X nothing came up. Then she entered the secondary data string from the Yao classified scan. This time a match lit up. A warning popped on the screen. Genetic enhancement class red clearance only. Do not share without command permission. Treason protocol will be activated. Leora stared at it. Her finger hovered over the enter key. If she opened it, she would be breaking every agreement her species had signed with the Human Alliance. She pressed it. The file opened. It wasn't just a serum. It was a military experiment to create hyper-responders, humans who could adapt in real time to extreme environments, pain, combat, and even psychological warfare. But that wasn't the shocking part. The real project was deeper. Valor X wasn't meant for war. It was meant for reproduction. Leora leaned in, eyes wide. The document explained that human military scientists had discovered that certain alien species, especially Varelians like her, shared emotional frequency receptors with humans. These receptors could be triggered by chemical bonding, pheromones, touch, even eye contact. The serum Jackson had received was designed to heighten these links. He could sense emotional bonds and respond with aggressive protection, obsession, or desire. And when such a link formed, the transformation was permanent. Leora's hands shook. She remembered the warmth in her own body last night. The moment she touched him, something had clicked. Now she knew. It wasn't her imagination. The serum was starting to affect her too. A sudden knock shattered the silence. Diagnostics room. Open up. Security sweep. Leora froze. It was Rel, again. She yanked her scanner free and erased the digital trail. She stuffed the scanner under her cloak and opened the door slowly. Commander Rel stood there with two soldiers. Problem, nurse? He asked, voice cold. I was updating the DNA software, she lied calmly. One of the consoles was offline. Rel didn't smile. He stepped inside and glanced at the screen. Everything's locked now? Yes. He leaned close and whispered, I hope you're not trying to play spy, Leora. This patient is not your concern. He's a weapon. That's all you need to know. She didn't answer. He gave a final look and walked out. Leora let out a shaky breath, but her heart was already racing. Later that night, she returned to the med bay alone. Pod 12 was still sealed. Jackson was still unconscious, but his skin was glowing faintly. The heat had returned. She sat next to him and whispered, What did they do to you? Suddenly his hand twitched, then his voice, low and slow. I found you, like the visions said. She stood up quickly. You're awake again? He nodded weakly. They used me, tested it, said I'd forget, but I remembered you. Remembered me? We've never met. No, but I dreamed of you. Before the injection, over and over. You were always there. The only face I trusted. Leora backed away slowly. What does this mean? Jackson looked up at her. It means they made me for you. Leora didn't know how to answer him. She stood frozen beside the glowing pod, her heart beating fast. Jackson's words echoed in her head. They made me for you. It was impossible. She wasn't anyone special, just a nurse from Virelia. Just a medic. And yet, as he looked at her with half-lidded eyes and a faint smile, she felt something stir deep inside her. A warm pull, a strange connection. Not physical, emotional, like his energy was wrapping around her thoughts. She stepped back, trying to clear her mind. This isn't logical, this isn't science. You need rest, she said firmly. You're confused. It's the serum. It's messing with your head. But Jackson shook his head slowly. No, it's clear now. I feel it. The bond. Don't. You? Leora didn't answer. She turned off the pod's display and stepped out of the medbay. The door hissed closed behind her. Back in her quarters, Leora stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her skin was flushed a deeper shade of blue, her eyes brighter. She could feel her body reacting to something. Not just stress or fatigue. Change. She activated her personal scanner and ran a diagnostic on herself. Vitals normal. Hormones elevated. Neural response heightened. But then a strange result appeared. Foreign genetic activity detected. Source, contact with subject 12, she gasped. The serum wasn't just affecting Jackson, it was altering her too, and she hadn't been injected. The next day, Leora entered the med bay wearing a calm expression, but inside her mind was racing. Jackson was awake again, sitting up in his pod now, watching her quietly. You came back, he said softly. I'm your nurse. It's my duty, she replied. He smiled. Even though they told you not to get involved? She said nothing, moving, to check his vitals. As she touched his wrist, she felt a jolt. A soft shock of heat traveled up her arm and into her chest. She pulled away quickly. Jackson looked concerned. It's getting stronger, isn't it? The link? Leora gave him a sharp look. You are not authorized to speak about this. You're still under quarantine. But he didn't flinch. You felt it too, the moment we touched. You're connected to me. They knew it might happen. That's why they picked you. No one picked me, she snapped. I was assigned here randomly. Nothing about this is random. Suddenly, the medbay door opened. Commander Rel stepped inside, his eyes locked onto Leora. I need a word. Outside. Now. She followed him out of the room, trying to stay calm. Rel didn't waste time. You've been acting strange, nurse, accessing systems you're not cleared for, spending too much time with the patient. He's showing symptoms beyond standard protocol. I'm doing my job. Rel stepped closer, lowering his voice. He's not your job. He's a weapon, experimental, dangerous. And if this bond nonsense continues, you'll be removed. Leora narrowed her eyes. Then why keep him alive? Rel stared at her for a long second. Because we don't understand what he's becoming. He turned and walked away. Leora stood frozen. What he's becoming, or what they turned him into. That night, Leora received a hidden message. It flashed on her private tablet screen. Meet me at observation deck 4 midnight. J. She hesitated. It could be a trap. But her hands moved on their own. Observation deck 4 was dark and quiet, overlooking the stars. Jackson stood there, fully awake now, wearing a loose medical robe. His skin glowed faintly in the starlight. Leora stayed by the eye tower. You shouldn't be out of quarantine. They deactivated the lock, he said. Guess I'm not dangerous anymore, or they want to see what I'll do. He stepped closer slowly. I don't remember everything, but I remember you. Not from here, from before, from dreams. You keep saying that, Leora said, voice shaking. But how is that possible? Maybe the serum didn't just change my body, he said. Maybe it unlocked something. Maybe we've met in another timeline. Or we're meant to. She looked into his eyes and saw no lies, just truth. Heavy, raw, and strange. Then what do you want from me? She asked. Jackson took her hand gently. I don't know. But whatever is happening, it's not just science anymore. And just like that, her body warmed, the connection flaring between them like electricity. She didn't pull away. Somewhere deep inside her, a new voice whispered, "This is only the beginning." Leora didn't return to her quarters after meeting Jackson on the observation deck. She walked alone through the silent corridors of the station, her hand still tingling from where he had touched her. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a reaction. A bond she hadn't chosen yet couldn't break. Something had changed inside her. Something human. But not entirely. The next morning, the medbay was quiet again. Jackson had been returned to his pod. Security logs showed no record of his movement the night before. Someone was hiding the truth, maybe even helping him move freely. As she entered the room, he was already watching her. "You didn't run," he said. She sighed. "I thought about it. You felt it too, didn't you, last night, the connection?" Leora hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but that doesn't mean it's real. It could be a side effect of the serum." Jackson shook his head. "Or it's what the serum was trying to unlock all along." She began scanning his body again, this time more carefully. But what the scanner showed made her freeze. His cells were changing again. They were no longer fully human. His DNA strands were twisting, reshaping, creating a pattern that looked part Varelian. She gasped. "This isn't just physical. Your genetics are adapting to match mine." "I told you," Jackson said quietly. "They made me for you." She backed away. This had gone too far. No medical logic could explain it. No biology course in her academy had taught this. And worse, her own readings were changing too. Later, in the privacy of the medlab storage, she scanned herself again. Foreign energy signatures detected. Cellular alignment shifting. Matching subject 12. She was becoming like him, but not just in body. She could feel his presence even when she wasn't near him. Sense his emotions, his heartbeat. Once, during her scan, she even felt what he felt. Desire, confusion, the need to protect her. Leora dropped the scanner in shock. What was happening to her? Hours later, as she stood outside his pod again, she made a decision. "This can't go on," she said quietly. "You need to be moved to isolation. You're not stable." "I'm not the only one," Jackson replied, his voice calm but intense. "You feel it too. You're changing, Leora. You're scared, but not of me. You're scared of what it means." She turned away. "That's not true." "Then look me in the eyes and say you don't feel anything." She didn't look back. Instead, she stormed out of the medbay. That night, Leora tried to submit a request to transfer off the station, but the system blocked her access. "Error. Personnel movement locked. Quarantine Protocol 99 Alpha in effect." She had been marked. They weren't going to let her leave. Back in her room, she collapsed on her bed, exhausted. But sleep wouldn't come. Visions played behind her eyes. Jackson, reaching out to her. Red light glowing between them, the stars pulling them together like gravity. Her skin burned with heat, but there was no fever. Her blood felt electric, and then her door hissed open. She sat up fast, ready to yell, until she saw him, Jackson. He stood there, calm, chest rising and falling slowly, eyes glowing faintly. "How did you get in here?" she asked, heart racing. "I followed the pull," he whispered. "I had to see you." You can't be here, she said. But her voice was weak. He stepped closer. Tell me to leave, and I will. She opened her mouth, but the words didn't come. Instead, she felt the heat rise in her again, like a storm building just beneath her skin. She stood frozen as he came close, his hand slowly reaching out. He didn't touch her. He didn't need to. The space between them vibrated, a magnetic force neither of them could resist. Then she whispered, "This bond, is it dangerous?" Jackson's voice was low. "Only if we fight it." Suddenly, an alarm blared through the station. "Warning, quarantine breach detected in medbay." Leora's eyes widened. "They know you're gone." Jackson stepped back. "Then they'll come for me. And for you." She grabbed her scanner, heart pounding. "We need to hide." But deep down, both of them knew. They couldn't hide from what was growing inside them. Because it wasn't just attraction, it was evolution. The red quarantine alarm kept ringing. Lights flashed across the walls of the Galactic Peace Station, turning calm metal corridors into zones of panic. Security teams rushed toward the med bay. Officers barked orders into comms. Doors sealed automatically. But Leora and Jackson weren't in the med bay. They were already on the run. They moved quickly through the lower levels, maintenance corridors that no one used anymore. Leora had memorized the station's layout long ago. As a nurse, she had studied every emergency route. Now she was using that knowledge to escape her own command. Jackson followed her closely, his breathing steady, but his eyes sharp. The bond between them pulsed stronger with every step. Leora could feel it in her bones. He wasn't human anymore, and she was no longer just Varelian. Behind them, the med bay was a war zone. When the guards entered Pod 12's room, they found it empty. No signs of struggle. Just a glowing handprint on the glass wall. Hers. Commander Rel stared at the image in silence. Then he turned to his team. "They've bonded." One officer looked confused. "Sir?" Rel's voice was tight. "They're linked now, emotionally, physically, biologically. He's completing the transformation and she's helping him." He clenched his fist. "We stop them before it finishes, or we lose control forever." Meanwhile, in the depths of the station, Leora led Jackson into an old cryo-storage bay, unused since the last war. Dust floated in the air, lit by faint blue lights. No cameras, no sensors. Safe for now. She closed the door behind them and leaned against it, trying to catch her breath. "We can't keep running," she said. "They'll find us." Jackson looked at her. "Then let them come." Leora stared at him. "That serum, they didn't just inject you, they engineered you, to bond with someone like me, to create something new." "I didn't choose this," he replied softly. "But I'm not running from it either." She looked down at her hands. Her skin was glowing now, faint streaks of red mixing with her natural blue. Her body was changing, fast, faster than expected. "How long do we have before it's complete?" she asked. Jackson walked closer and gently touched her cheek. "Maybe hours." Outside, Commander Rel had initiated Protocol 0. Every exit from the lower decks was locked. Oxygen levels were reduced to slow movement. Medical bots were converted into trackers, scanning for unusual DNA. But one thing still confused the security team. Why hadn't the bond broken yet? Most subjects in past experiments had failed at this stage. The alien partner usually rejected the changes. Emotional stress caused collapse or worse, insanity. But Leora was adapting. Too well. Rel watched her profile on the surveillance feed. She's not just surviving it, she's evolving. His second-in-command asked, "What do we do now, sir?" Rel didn't hesitate. "We burn the whole level if we must." Back, in cryo-storage, the bond between Jackson and Leora was becoming more intense. Without touching, they could feel each other's emotions. He knew her fear. She felt his strength. They were sinking. "Do you regret it?" Jackson asked. Leora shook her head slowly. "No, I just..." I didn't think it would feel like this. Like what? Like truth. Like I was never complete until now. Suddenly, a loud hiss. Doors above them unlocked. Footsteps echoed through. The vents. They were found. Jackson turned toward the sound, body tense. Go, I'll hold them. Leora grabbed his arm. We leave together, or not at all. He looked into her eyes, then nodded. She activated a hidden panel on the far wall. A service tunnel behind it opened. A last resort route meant only for cryotechs. They ran. As security forces broke into the cryo bay, they were gone, like ghosts. Minutes later, an encrypted message spread through the command deck. Subject 12. Envir Specimen 32 have escaped. Phase 3 initiated. Bond is stabilizing. Hybrid form nearing activation. Commander Rel read the message in silence. They're not just escaping, he muttered. They're becoming something new. Deep in the shadows of the station's forgotten levels, Leora and Jackson stood in front of a sealed maintenance airlock. Behind it was the launch tunnel for old supply drones, unused, unmonitored, and unguarded. Jackson looked at her. You sure? You want to do this? Leora took his hand. I already did. Together they opened the hatch and stepped inside. Not as human. Not as alien, but as something the galaxy had never seen before. The drone tunnel was dark, cold, and silent, forgotten by most of the station. Once used to launch supply pods into space, it was now their only escape route. No guards, no cameras. Just steel and shadows. But something else moved with them now. Something alive inside their bodies. Leora's hands trembled as she activated the old launch system. Her skin shimmered, no longer only blue, but now faint streaks of glowing silver, and crimson ran beneath the surface, like energy flowing through her veins. Jackson stood beside her, watching silently. He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't have to. Because now, they could feel each other's thoughts. Every heartbeat, every breath, every fear, every pull. The transformation wasn't complete, but it had reached the trigger point, the point where the bond could no longer be reversed. And if interrupted now, both of them could die. Meanwhile, at the command level, chaos had erupted. Commander Rel slammed his fist into the wall screen. Where are they? You told me the drones were shut down. They are, sir, replied the tech. But one of the tunnels just reactivated. Launch sequence is counting down. Override it. We can't. It's off-grid, pre-war tech. It's not connected to main systems. Then block the exit. Send everything we have. If they get off this station. He didn't finish the sentence, because he knew what it meant. If the hybrid left, it wouldn't just be a secret anymore. It would be a spark. A signal to the galaxy that the bond between human and alien wasn't just possible, it was evolution. And the military would lose control. Inside the drone pod, Leora and Jackson sat close, systems humming around them. The pod was small, meant for cargo, not people. But it was enough. Enough to launch them out of the station, enough to reach the outer rings, where patrols were thin and signals were jammed, enough to finish what had already begun inside their bodies. Leora's breathing became shallow, her vision blurred. Something's happening, she whispered. Jackson held her tightly. I feel it, too. It's the final phase. Her skin was glowing now, brighter than ever. Not just her skin, her bones, her blood. Her body was rewriting itself at the deepest level. No longer purely Varelian. No longer alien at all. And Jackson, his body radiated heat and strength. Muscles shifted under his skin, not swelling with rage, but with focus. His heartbeat synced with hers. Every cell inside them was screaming one truth. They were meant to become one, not as a couple, but as a new species. Back at the station, the military scrambled. Gunships blocked all exit points. Mech suits stomped through the drone bays. And in the command center, Commander Rel stared at a flickering feed of the pod. It was heating up, not from engines but from internal energy. She's activating, he whispered. The Varelian DNA is fusing. His tech looked confused. Activating what? The hybrid protocol. You mean she'll become like him? Rel shook his head slowly. No, he'll become like her. And something even more. Inside the drone pod, Leora clutched her head. Jackson, it's too much, and he took her hand, his voice calm. Let it happen. But it hurts. That's not pain. That's power. A bright flash erupted from her chest, a pulse of light that shook the walls of the pod. And in that moment her body went still. So did his. Then together, they opened their eyes. And everything changed. From the outside, the pod glowed brighter and brighter until the cameras went blind. The energy wasn't from the engines. It was from them. The bond had become a source of power, an energy signature the military had never predicted. An emotional connection turned physical. Two hearts. Two species, one purpose. Commander Rel stared at the now blank screen. Launch complete, the officer said in disbelief. They're gone, but Rel's face was pale. No, he said slowly. They're not gone. They've been born. In deep space, the pod drifted into the stars. Inside it, Leora and Jackson sat in silence, their bodies no longer separate, their minds no longer alone, and deep within their chests, something glowed. A pulse that no species had ever carried. Not human, not Varelian. Something else. Something new. The stars outside the drone pod looked different now. Brighter. Closer. Alive. Leora opened her eyes slowly. She no longer felt pain, fear, or confusion. Her body was light, yet powerful. She could hear the quiet rhythm of space, sense distant life forms, and feel Jackson's presence without turning her head. He was part of her now. Not in a romantic way, in an atomic way. Their bond had gone far beyond emotions, biology, or protocol. They were no longer two beings. They were one force. Inside the pod, no words were spoken. They didn't need to speak anymore. Thoughts passed like whispers in the wind. We've changed everything. They'll come for us. Let them. Their transformation was complete, but they weren't safe. The Galactic Peace Station had launched tracking ships. A kill order was issued across human channels. The bond was now labeled X-level threat. Any ship, any soldier, any AI had permission to terminate on sight. But Jackson and Leora were already moving. Far beyond the edge of the station's radar, the pod began to break apart, not from damage, but from design. Their energy signatures were interfering with the old tech. The pod could no longer contain them. Its walls trembled, then peeled away like paper, revealing the stars around them. And yet, they floated unharmed. Leora stretched her hand, and a shield of shimmering energy formed around them. A bubble of warmth, light, and life. Jackson reached out, and a navigation stream of pure instinct connected to the nearest moon. They didn't need machines anymore. They had become something better. Meanwhile, back on the station, Commander Rel was losing control. Reports flooded in, patrols malfunctioning, drones shutting down, radar blindness. The energy waves from the hybrid were disrupting everything human-made. It's not just them, an officer whispered. They're rewriting the rules of technology. Rel gritted his teeth. They're rewriting the rules of life. On the dark moon ahead, ancient ruins stood untouched by war. It was a forgotten world, once home to a long-dead alien race. But as the hybrid form of Jackson and Leora landed softly on its surface, the ruins lit up. Blue flames danced along old stone. Symbols glowed. Walls hummed. It was as if the planet recognized them, or had been waiting for them. They walked side by side into the heart of the ruins, where a large circular platform sat, hidden beneath moss and thyme. Leora stepped forward. This place, it's reacting to us. Jackson touched one of the symbols. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe this was built For us. As they stood on the platform, the ground pulsed beneath their feet. The sky above flickered, showing brief flashes of other galaxies, other species, other possibilities. Then a voice, not male, not female, echoed around them. Welcome, convergence pair. You have awakened the cycle. Leora's eyes widened. Convergence? What cycle? The voice replied, the bond between minds, the blend of bodies, the uniting of paths. You are the first, but not the last. Your love was not the goal. Your unity is the key. In that moment, Jackson and Leora understood. The serum, the experiment, the escape, none of it was random. They were part of something bigger. A trigger. Their bond had activated something old and powerful, a sleeping force, once believed extinct. A galactic system meant to unite species, not destroy them. They were the start of a new era. Back in human territory, a transmission burst through military channels, clear and impossible to block. We are not weapons. We are not threats. We are the future you feared and the peace you never imagined. You tried to control life, but life evolved beyond you. The message wasn't angry. It was calm, unstoppable. And across the stars, millions listened. In the following days, strange things happened. Human soldiers began experiencing dreams of alien worlds. Alien scientists saw visions of humans they had never met. Machines built to fight began to shut down, choosing silence over war. Something inside all species had been touched, because Jackson and Leora's bond had not only changed them, it had changed everything. High above the forgotten moon, the ruins released a beam of light into the stars, a signal of hope, of evolution, of unity. And at the center stood the two who started it all. Not lovers, not test subjects, but the first hybrids, the beginning of a new story for the galaxy.